Welcome to Politics Uncensored, a product of Uganda Radio Network. My name is Batte, and this afternoon I am with Mr. Joseph Kabuleeta. I don't know whether he's still the president of NEED, but we'll find out. We'll find out. But he's a journalist. I was told that when you were a journalist, you are a journalist forever, and he's a pastor. That I think. If you're a pastor, are you also a pastor forever, or you can choose to pastor yourself out of pastoring?
No, you can. I think you can move to something else.
Okay. We are here to talk about many things, including NEED, including the politics happening in the country, and I'm happy to be here this afternoon with Mr. Kabuleeta. Thank you for meeting with us, Mr. Kabuleeta.
You're welcome.
I want, first of all, before we go into the nitty-gritties of what is happening and everything, can you first talk to us about NEED? Because I know many people know Kabuleeta, Joseph, but perhaps have not heard about NEED. Tell us a little bit about your organization, the political party.
NEED, we started it as an organization, what you would call a CINDE, or some kind of movement. And that was soon after the elections in 2021. And we built it. The name NEED came along because we were pushing economic empowerment. It stands for National Economic Empowerment Dialogue. So that represents the two things that we actually stand for. So the name came up as it was. Then at some stage we went and acquired a political party, but going through the processes of actually turning the name of the party and the slogan and the logo to what we wanted it to be was a lot more difficult, thanks to Electoral Commission dancing and going back and forth and so on. They are famous for that. Eventually we did change it, and we became fully fledged NEED political party. But that was just last month, was June. June, end of June. June 25th to be precise. So that's how long we've been a party with a certificate, and but thankfully we've been doing work even when we were anticipating that we'd eventually get that certificate. So that's, I don't know, what more do you want to know about?
So why were you exactly focusing on economic empowerment?
Because that's the one thing that is at the core of my thinking, and that's the one thing that I think all Ugandans want. And you see, we've been having scenarios where people were talking, democracy, freedom of words, freedom of speech, all very nice things. But when you travel this country, and not so many people have, and when you go down there, you realize that the message of Museveni must go is not as popular as it is here in Kampala. The message of democracy and those are, big words. What people want is money in their pocket. And that is the message that everybody can understand, because poverty is biting everywhere. Now, the one thing that they will listen to you if you speak about is that you can turn their fortune, their financial fortunes around, and take away the pressures that they are under to just get by normal life, paying school fees, going to hospital when you're sick, and so on. And you show them that actually this country has enough wealth to make that dream possible for them, at least the very basics. There is enough wealth here to make it happen, and to let them know that the reason it is not happening is because of bad leadership. Now, that's where the big issue of leadership comes. Now, the whole thing of, Museveni must, it's a very big Kampala central thing, but outside there, you have to bring the point home to where somebody actually understands, okay, he must go, why, okay? So that's why we started the campaign of showing people how Museveni has deliberately made Ugandans poor, because in his mindset, those are easier people to govern. So, and we pushed it across. He has made people poor through the things that he does, through, killing of innovation, businesses, taxation policies, and so on, and take over by his cronies and his family of all businesses that seem to be flourishing and so on, killing Uganda's agricultural potential to the point that now we are importing a lot of agricultural produce from countries which are not blessed like we are in terms of soil and weather, and all that he has killed, systematically. Things which used to be basics from which we would build to go to other things. And of course he does it. He's a very subtle man. You keep on saying, value addition, but we're supposed to add value to what is already there. Now, when people are selling their coffee without the value addition, that's the first place before you talk about value addition. Now, if you take out even the lower one and say value addition, what are they adding value to? And that has been the case. And there have been so many such instances where his argument of value addition is just obfuscating the matter.
Okay, to take you a little bit back, you said that this thing, democracy, human rights, is a Kampala issue. But it so happens that actually those are the people who are actually voting in favor of the opposition. Those who hear the language you're talking about, who are even poorer, who must understand that language, still vote for Museveni. So isn't there a mismatch?
No, they vote for Museveni because nobody has given. Have you been there? Nobody has actually given them an alternative. I have been to places where nobody has given them an alternative, a viable alternative. And you go there and sit down and talk to them and tell them this and this and this can change. And you see their faces lighting up because you're dealing with something which affects them directly. Now, if you go there, because you see, people have to understand, voters are, at their level, are very intelligent. So when you go there to ask for votes, he knows you have an ambition. You have an ambition to lead at whatever level, LC5, MP, whatever, president. He knows what you want. What he wants to hear from you is how does your ambition fit in with his. Okay? Now, I know you want to be president. How does that fit in with my own ambition, which I have? Okay, is it just about you want to be president, so I'm supposed to facilitate that, and there's nothing in it for me? So, because when you see that Museveni must go and so on, he's saying, okay, why should I replace Museveni with you? You have to give him that answer. Now, you might think that's obvious. It is not for some of those people. Okay, for me it is obvious. But for some of those people it is not. And even the fact that he has been around 40 years is not. Okay, you have to bring it down to them. Do you know how much you could make out of this? Do you know why you're having issues with grazing and why this is like this? Do you know why business? Do you know why fuel prices are so high? Do you know why your kerosene you buy and so on is so high? Do you know why you're being charged a lot of money for simple mobile money transactions? Okay, why things which actually affect him? Because just go, if you ever tried, and talk about the amount of money people pay to withdraw money for mobile money, which has been sent from Kampala. And it hurts everybody because somebody, that 7K is going to make a difference of how much. Now, when you talk that language, finally, he starts saying, oh, okay, so you want to be president. I know that. Now I see where, So then he starts asking questions. So what would you do about that? Can you reduce it? Can you make mobile money transactions less, expensive? Can you, make certain facilities, schools and what, more accessible and so on. So those are the things which actually matter there now. So, and even the people in town who will vote just, because we are tired of Museveni, and we all are, the economic factor is a major thing, okay? Because people in Kampala have serious economic concerns. Go now downtown and see now how you are in this financial year, how they are tightening the screws further and how businessmen are choking. They really are choking. It's so bad that when you speak to a businessman, he says, how am I going to juggle these balls of somehow being tax compliant and somehow making a profit because I don't want to work just for tax.
If I hear you properly, do you think that, do you want to tell us that there is a deliberate effort on the Museveni part to make people, Ugandans, not prosper, or actually to make them poor to use a direct language?
Absolutely.
Why would he be doing that?
Because that has, you look at the thinking of those, whatever. Why is it that you look at his background thinking, okay? I'll tell you this. You look at the anecdotes. Let's first look at the anecdotes. I remember when Besigye came up strong, specifically in 2006. Okay, he's almost his biggest stronghold, even stronger than Rukunjiri, where he's from. Yes, was Kasese. Okay, Kasese was very strong anti-government and very strong FDC. Almost all, not almost all the MPs from that place were all opposition. And that time Kasese was prospering. Okay, There was that border trade. They were doing a lot of business from here, taking through using the trains, taking merchandise that side, selling it. And there was a lot of prosperity in Kasese. Actually, there was a lot of money in Kasese. You know, you can go to a place where you see there is money floating around. Then outside of that, when I was there last campaign, I asked people, what is the biggest price they have had for a kilo of cotton? Because in the rural areas, they plant cotton. Mm-hmm. They told me that the biggest price was around that time, 2006, where they were selling a kilo of cotton at about 3,600. And they said for that period, people built houses and what, you know, just because of selling cotton at 3,600 a kilo. Now, what did Museveni do to solve the Kasese problem? He took away the railway on purpose, okay? Cut the business on purpose, destroyed their prosperity on purpose, and turned around and turned all their fortunes around on purpose. Now, what was once a prosperous place is very poor. Guess whom they are voting? NRM. There is a strong correlation between NRM and poverty.
So Museveni,
the more people are poor, the more they vote for NRM. That one I can. That one I can. If you ask me to come to university to give a thesis, I can give it and back it up properly.
But you say here that people, when they are poor, because they are hurting. Okay. How do they then defeat the logic that when you are hurting, instead of actually turning against the person who is causing you the hurt, you are actually embracing them? Isn't there? Defeat logic?
No, humanity is a very complex thing. It's not necessarily logical, because you've heard about the Stockholm syndrome. Okay, you've heard about why would, for instance, a woman go to a home where she's being abused and so on, and she somehow seems to latch onto that place and so on. That when she gets somebody who actually treats her well, she will, you know, rebel. There is something there, and now the reality is that the reason people eventually turn opposition is because when you start doing business at a certain level, now like here in Kampala, you start doing business at a certain level, you realize that there is a ceiling which has been put by Museveni and his government, beyond which you can't go beyond. So now, that's where the frustration comes. That's where the hatred for him comes. Now, that's where the whole anti-Museveni sentiment comes from. Because people realize how they are being squeezed, you know, slowly, left, right. But now, when there is poverty and somebody is only aspiring for a bar of soap and salt and what, his needs are very basic. And they can be met within Museveni's poverty scheme. So now what he does is he actually reduces people's needs to very, very basic things.
That when you get the basics, you're
okay. And then he uses hope. After all, you know, they say, what's that guy who said politician is a dealer in hope? Napoleon. Now, I think he had never met Museveni. Museveni is a dealer in hopelessness. Because when people are hopeless, they vote NRM. That one I can do a thesis for university and prove it.
So you are telling us that actually almost because many places in Uganda they are voting NRM, so the entire Uganda is hopeless.
Let me tell you, a majority of the people where you just go to places where there is a bit of prosperity, you will see how it is anti-government sentiment. Now go to places where there is deep poverty. That's how he hit northern Uganda. Okay, take away the cows. Take away the things that made them rich, okay? Reduce them to nothingness. Guess who won northern Uganda? Fair and square in the last election. Museveni. So, northern Uganda, which was so anti-Museveni. He hammered them with that stick of poverty until he put them in line. The same thing he did to Kasese. Now Kasese, I went there. I thought this is an anti-government place. I found people who were so angry with me. Here, NRM. I said, what? Kasese, what happened? Poverty.
So when Museveni says Operation Wealth Creation, PDM, Sujui, what is he trying to do with all these things that he's claiming that is getting people out of poverty?
You know, you have to understand that for the most part, leadership is, especially the kind that Museveni does, is telling people what they want to hear. So you never judge him by his words, judge him by his actions. And now people have learned that when nobody listens to what he says.
But they are voting.
No, I'm talking about people here.
Okay.
Yeah. The people here who have, the certain level of, who are involved in some kind of serious commerce, they don't listen to what he says. They just see what he does. Because in the one hand, I'll give you an example. There's a picture. You remember when he walked around after the last election, when he went around Luwero, tracing the, you remember that
yes,
incident?
when he was walking.
I looked around that place. Now, Luwero, before Museveni, during Obote, whom those people hated so much, Luwero was a very thriving agriculture, whatever. Even with Museveni fighting there.
Even with war.
Even with war. There was absolute food security at the very minimum. There was a lot of coffee coming from there. There was a fair bit of prosperity coming from that place. And people were rich. And even then, there was a lot of houses, of basic things, houses with mabati, people with motorcycles, Mwanyiza, and so on from that place, even with the war. Now, when the war is over, I saw Museveni going, and people are kneeling down and giving them envelopes, which cannot have had more than 10,000 or 20,000 shillings. And I'm saying, what happened? These are people who are prosperous. Now, do you know there is even a special kind of diabetes, which has been found in Luwero, and actually now has been accepted in the medical community, which is not caused by too much, intake of sugar and starches. It's caused by a lack of it. Okay, and that is in Luwero. Because here you overstuff your body with sugar and starch.
Your body is lacking.
Now your body is totally lacking, and it causes a kind of diabetes. I think they call it type 5 or something like that, because there's type 1 and type 2. Somebody in the medical community was saying, so now imagine a place like Luwero, very fertile, where you beat people to the ground, that there is even lack of food security, basic food security. Now that's what he does, and then they will eventually vote him. Until the last election, when they voted,
they revolted again.
They revolted again.
Yeah, Museveni yesterday his people picked nomination papers. He wants to stand again to push his lead. I mean, his state to 45 years. So why? And I have heard his message of course, he said he trades in hope. So are you telling Ugandans they must not listen to what he's saying? He has nothing to offer.
When did he ever say anything that he meant? Recently, I think one other president, neighboring president, said that we know what he has in his mind, and Museveni laughed. He said we know what his plans are. Museveni laughed. He said nobody knows my plans because they are in my mind. Now he is very guarded as to what he's actually planning, and he has always told people what they want to hear. Always. I mean, 4 years, then we shall, have an election. Then 4 years, we need 5 years to make a constitution. Then constitution, 2 terms. He knew he was never going to go. He didn't change his mind. He knew from the beginning he was never going to go. Actually, I'm sure I might even have been on the same show when a journalist who used to work at the Monitor at the time said he went and interviewed him in 1993. And he asked him, so when are you leaving power?
He told him, take away your recorder.
They take away your recorder, took it away. Then he told him in Rujankore that you think what is HFE? And he said,
I go and get my carcass, and all of a sudden.
And then he said that no,
I'm impotent.
Impotent is HFE. So that I've sat in this throne. How do you think I'm going to leave it to any other person? He said, I'm going to be here until I die. Yes. But that was not on record. Now, when that 93, when that guy went and talked to his editors and said, the man told me this, they said, do you have it on record? No. He told me, take away my recorder. They said, we cannot write it. But the man knew. But he put a constitution, knowing that very well. He put a constitution of 2 term limits. Okay? And then the term limits, then he goes that. Then he himself puts a constitution of age limit. So he has always played Ugandans like that, because what he does is he does not solve a problem unless he has to absolutely solve it. If he can push it down the road, if he can kick the can down the road, he will do that.
So, but does that speak so much to Museveni or the people, the Ugandan people who have allowed this to happen for 40 years and continuing?
No, it speaks much to us, because first of all, I will tell you this: the man is he caught us at a point of trust, because when he came, there had been a lot of insecurity. People had gone through a lot, and people wanted to trust him. Okay, and they trusted him so much to the point that even when they did the changing of the currencies and what, people asked no questions. Everybody went with what he said because there was a belief that, you know, Museveni meant Uganda well, and there was happiness. Only a few people who knew him cautioned Ugandans and said, you don't know the person you're dealing with. The person you're dealing with is very sly. But all of them were rubbished. You know, you're just naysayers. This is a good man and so on. So in that period, what he did is he took control of all the systems of money, okay, and then he took control of the military and all the systems of power when the trust was still very high. Nobody was looking into those directions.
Nobody was questioning anything.
Yes, and then he used people whom he found in politics, brought them close to him and used them to build a political base. So now when Semogere comes and joins the so-called broad-based government, when Semogere goes, the people he came with do not go.
Yes.
If the Chintu Musokes and all those people, all of them come, who had some sort of clout with Dandy Sadi and so on, who had some political clout, come. When they go, they don't go with their people. Their people stay here. So then by around the turn of 2000, he had built a real political class. Then we started seeing the true colors of Museveni. Of course, that was also, quickened by the emergence of Besigye. Now, when Besigye came up and we saw how Museveni behaves when somebody dares to say he wants power, that's when all Ugandans opened their eyes and said, wow, so this is the man we trusted. Because there was a sense that, you know, this is a good way. I can go and look after my cows. And then people say, no, sir, don't go. And until now, Besigye came, and now he showed us the true colors of Museveni. And everybody was in shock. But by that time, he had all the systems of money, he had all the systems of power, and he had a political base, a genuine political base. And it was too late. Now, everyone's hands were tied.